And good morning. Welcome to Exiles TV. This is the 16th of June.
It is, all day long.
I was trying to fight that. I wanted to protest in the street. There shouldn't be any teens other than the 19th, but I got overruled.
Is that the date they call June?
Juneteenth.
Then
Yes.
That's an emancipation.
That's Emancipation
Sorry,
Day.
I'm showing my ignorance. I beg y'all's pardon.
Yeah.
Some things I don't know about.
Well, yeah, now you do. Now you do.
Thank you.
But
That's a Texas thing. That actually happened. It happened in Texas? Juneteenth?
well, so the original Juneteenth celebrations happened in Texas, but it falls on the date of all emancipation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so it's a very important holiday. It really is. Again, you want to talk about a historical point in time.
And look, I'm not trying to be insensitive. I just, some things I don't know about.
Well, some things, I'll bet you, like me, when you were in school, in elementary school, and they were teaching about holidays, they didn't teach it in my school.
Not in northwestern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We just kind of danced around the unpleasantries of the past a bit.
I grew up in the land of Lincoln, the guy who signed the orders, and they didn't teach it. Well, they probably taught it as Emancipation Day, and maybe I missed the shorthand version of it, or the popular version. So have you seen this? You know how we like to talk about useless, idiotic bills that go through our legislature?
Yeah, I love it.
Did you see the one of our favorite targets? I think it's, what's her name? Nancy Landry? Is she one of our favorite targets?
She was.
Well, no, she's not there anymore. There's someone very similar to her, a female legislator.
Let's call her Representative Karen.
From some place nobody cares about, hustles this bill through to allow Louisiana to go on daylight saving time all the time, but only
pending congressional approval. How did Arizona do it?
Well, they did it. They had a legitimate reason. Their state was split right down the middle, including one of their
middle of a time zone.
One of their big metros between two time zones.
Between what, Mountain and Pacific or something like that?
Mountain and Central, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe Mountain and Pacific. But anyway, they were like, look, this is kind of crazy. We have to be able to do business and all that, and where we're sitting right now, we're 3 time zones away from the financial capitals. And that was many, many years ago. Now, the one I never understood was the state of Indiana. Because largely I don't understand the state of Indiana.
You just don't understand.
Well, they're kind of superfluous.
Indiana, why?
Yeah, I mean, one half of the state is a suburb of Chicago, the other half is a suburb of Detroit.
Right.
But they, too, have a time zone split.
Right.
And so they will ignore daylight savings time in the summertime on one side, and they will do it on the other side. And then Indianapolis is a cutout which just stays on Central Time all the time.
Well, make no mistake, I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor of either way. I mean, I saw some discussion of this yesterday on Facebook. I'm in favor either way. Some people said, no, keep it on standard time because I like dark winter nights. It's like, and I'm okay, fine. We have electric lights now. We don't need to conserve lamp oil.
Well,
okay. So
but
either leave it on standard time or leave it on daylight time.
This is what's called the energy relief bill, because we will be spending more money on electricity
if we're always
in a hotter climate. If we will be running our AC units probably an extra 2 hours a day in the fall because of being on daylight saving time.
In the fall, even though you're still on daylight time, it will be getting darker. It'll be getting dark around 7 instead of around 8.
Yes, but you're going to be going to bed an hour later, so you will be cooling your house for an hour longer.
My problem is the only way I see that's going to be practical to do it for everyone is if the whole nation decides to do it. Hence the congressional approval. But otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to get used to, let's say your favorite show is Law and Order. Okay?
Tink, tink.
And I don't know when the hell Law and Order's on because I don't watch it. I don't watch crime procedurals at all. But let's say it's on Thursday nights at 7 on NBC, except for part of the year when it's on Thursday nights at 6 or at 8. What the hell? You're going to have to get used to staggering your viewing schedules because the rest of the country is going to be on their regular schedule.
Well, you may not remember this, but under President James Earl Carter, during the
Jimmy? I like Jimmy. It was my favorite.
During the energy crisis, the entire United States went on daylight savings time year-round.
I do vaguely remember that.
For a year and a half, I think, somewhere around there, maybe a little longer. And I don't know that it made much difference to anybody because, I mean, you still had the 1 hour separating each time zone. But it was designed to conserve energy, and in fact, it did exactly the opposite. We ended up consuming more energy during that.
By the way, the author of that bill sponsor is Representative Dodie Horton.
That's the one.
Who lives in Houghton, which is Horton from Houghton.
Horton from Houghton.
She hears a who. Actually, Miss Horton we've had her on the radio show, remember? She's a really nice lady, but... and I see the governor signing it because it's like, what the hell? It's a no-brainer.
Because it doesn't do anything.
Now, we're going to be talking later in the hour about a bill that the governor vetoed that some people say would have done quite a bit, but he vetoed it. And is it back for more in the special session?
Well, of course it is. We're all back for more in the special session.
Will it be veto-proof in the special session?
Well, not...
Yes?
I am risking a stroke, so I'm not even going to go there yet.
Let's take a quick pause, take care of some business. Exiles, we'll be right back.
State Treasurer John Schroeder, encouraging you to visit latreasury.com to search for your unclaimed property money. During this pandemic, we've returned money to businesses, local governments, and people across Louisiana.
New Orleans Habitat for Humanity found unclaimed property with the Louisiana Treasury.
Audubon Nature Institute has unclaimed property.
I found unclaimed property with the Louisiana Department of Treasury.
We still have over $800 million. This is your money. Claim it.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
This is the Exiles. He's Bill Profita. I'm Kevin Gallagher, and coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk with Dawn Starns. She is the state director of the National Federation of Independent Business. The governor, we talked about a governor's veto. It was a bill that would have been tort reform in Louisiana, lowering jury thresholds, and some say contributing to you having lower automobile interest rates. Who wouldn't want that, right?
Lower automobile insurance rates.
Interest, I said. Interest, I'm sorry.
Why
insurance
rates. In it?
Schedule me that CAT scan, will you please? But would the bill have actually done that or not? We'll get Dawn's take on it. And did the governor commit a misstep?
Well, there were some holes in that bill as well. There were some flaws. And again, I don't think it helped much when you got the insurance commissioner testifying in committee saying, there is no insurance company I know of that is pledged to lower rates because of this. So we shall see. There is a lot of talk about race relations, relations between the black community and police force. We hear terms like systemic racism.
Institutionalized racism.
Yeah, things like that. This is an interesting thing, and I'm very glad they are doing this, and I'm very glad they're doing it with the people that they're doing it with, but I would very respectfully suggest that perhaps they should add a couple of more. 3 very good black journalists, all of whom I consider to be friends, from the capital area, will join Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome today.
In about an hour.
Yeah, at 11:30 to do a virtual town meeting on race relations. WAFB's Greg Merriweather,
Street Beat.
one of the best in town.
I love Greg.
WBRZ's Sylvia Weatherspoon, also a very, very good journalist, and she's been on the air here now for 25 years, I think.
She's getting into Grand Dame status.
Yes, and
Who doesn't love
WVLA's
Sylvia?
Jaron Jordan, and Jaron is now anchoring their morning show at WVLA, but
And doing a great job.
he spent a lot of time as a street reporter here in Baton Rouge. And I think that all of these 3 will give some very valuable insights about what they have observed from behind a camera and holding a microphone on race relations.
I'm sorry, there's something missing here.
Yeah, I do wonder why there are no Caucasian journalists.
No other race. Well, Greg Merriweather is actually mixed race, so I guess he counts. But the panel's not of mixed race, so how can you have a discussion of race relations? As a matter of fact, I dare ask, don't you risk the whole discussion becoming an echo chamber?
Well, with the people involved, with Greg and Sylvia and Jaron, I don't think that's going to happen. And as I say, I applaud that the mayor is holding this town hall. But like you, I would think to perhaps give a little more depth and breadth to the argument. Why wouldn't you bring in a Caucasian journalist or 2? Why wouldn't you bring
Liz
in
Coe.
an Asian journalist?
Mm-hmm.
Like Liz Coe or Karen Chawla. I think that it tends to look a bit like a put-up job if you want to talk about race relations. I think you have to talk broadly across all races, which, by the way, is what we're going to be doing starting in the next week or 2 with our volunteer panels that we're going to have on this television show. We're going to have more information about that as it comes about. I don't want to criticize this because...
No, and we're not. Don't get us wrong. We're just asking.
I'd like it to be larger. How about that?
I'd like the panel to be more diverse, but it is a town hall, so perhaps that's where your diversity is going to come from, the people who take part in the town hall. It's a virtual town hall. I have no doubt that people of all colors will look to take part.
Well, and we will be watching the reporting on this this evening, as I'm sure you all will be. And I'm sure these same type of things are happening in Lafayette and in the New Orleans area as well. And we'll see what comes of theirs as we go down the road on this. But I admire all 3 journalists that are involved in this. I just wish there were a 4th or a 5th that perhaps had a little different lens on things. It might add something to the discussion.
I agree completely. Well, we'll find out. As I said, Bill and I will still be doing our program, no doubt, by the time this thing is almost over. We may catch the tail end of it. It's on Mayor Broome's Facebook page on Facebook Live, so you can check it out there. And certainly, if it's still going on, we'll check out the last few minutes of it. But I don't know what to hope for unless you've got a lot of differing viewpoints.
Well, I think everybody there is reasonable. Everybody there is educated. But I think also everybody there has got a story. And I think Greg's personal story, Sylvia's personal story, Jaron's personal story could be very, very valuable as an introduction point. Because, it's not just people treat you differently in this country if you're black and they're white, but it's all the other things. It's all the times you're pulled over for driving while black. It's all the time when you're out there as a reporter doing your job and there's something happening that's happening right now, like a big fire or a big accident or some sort of a police action, that you're the guy or the girl that gets asked to show your ID. You know, when the white journalists are not getting asked to show their ID. There's a lot of meat on this bone, which is why I think it's good, but I also think you ought to have some folks, you know, there are a lot of white people in news management in this city. You know, perhaps they could be there to talk about some of the whys of the things that they've experienced with their African American reporters and how they feel about that. But anyway, we shall see. I wish them good luck. I think it'll probably be a good forum.
All right, another quick break. When we come back, Don Starns from the NFIB right here on the screen next.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here. Some big changes are coming to the Pelican and Cox Cable. July 15th, our numbers are changing. We're easier to find and we're in high def. New Orleans, Gramercy, Lutcher, Acadiana, Patterson, Baton Rouge, new numbers coming and a brand new signal. It all happens July 15th on Cox Cable. Do your buddy Clarence a favor, will you? Get all the details by checking your local guide.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us. Kevin Gallagher. I'm Bill Profita. And center stage, Dawn Starns. She is the Louisiana State Director for the National Federation of Independent Business, or we're going to call it from this point forward, NFIB. Dawn, how are you?
Hey, good morning. So glad to be here with you guys.
Been spending a lot of time at the Capitol lately?
A little bit. They seem to not want to go home, so when they don't go home, we can't go home. So
we teased this a little bit beforehand. We're talking about the bill, which I'm not going to be able to remember the instrument's name. You probably do, keenly. But the tort reform bill, it made it through both chambers and was sent to the governor. But honestly, was there some anticipation that the governor would veto before he did it?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's
He's a trial lawyer. That's what I expected.
He's a trial lawyer. Look, he's pushed back on changes to the tort laws for some time now, and so we have we have a unique system here in Louisiana, and there can be a lot of arguments made about why you can't just change it and why it is the way it is. But the fact is that Louisiana is an outlier in so many different parts and pieces of our civil justice side of things, and so we have to make some changes. And we've been pushing it. The Business Coalition has been pushing for changes for years now, and the governor obviously has been pushing back because it is part of what he does, but it's also just who his supporters are. They are trial lawyers. The trial bar and the business lobby are at constant odds, and it's unfortunate, but that's just where we are at this day and age.
How would this bill have impacted small business? And we have to define small business for you folks. That's, what do we say, anybody under 500 employees?
That's the SBA's definition is under 500, and it's kind of a mixed bag. You have about half of our membership is about 50 or fewer, and then the other half is a myriad of all the different 100, 200,
But
250.
how would this have impacted positively or negatively had it been signed into law? These small businesses, which, as we all know, are the big taxpayers, are the backbone of our economy.
Well, we have been talking about tort reform in a way to help people try to understand it. And to your point, it's what does it make? What difference does it make to a small business owner? So a great example is, a dry cleaner with 2 trucks. If they've got a logo on the side of their truck, they get in an accident and they have a frivolous lawsuit, just a little fender bender. A frivolous lawsuit comes at them at $500,000. That's going to put them out of business overnight. And because of the way our jury trial system is set up, it's set up at $50,000, which is the highest in the country. And so people just tend to settle at that. Insurance companies say, we'll just write the check and get it over with and be done with it. That's not good, because what ends up happening from there is the trickle-down effect, which, as we all know, happens. That's what happens in business, right? If somebody's paying more for something, it's going to come down to somebody else.
It's going to be in my premium.
Right.
They raise their rates because they're paying more in settlements.
That's right. So the rates are constantly going up, and jury trial is not the only part of that. And that's why what we've said is, look, I mean, you can slice and dice it a million different ways, but there are some key things where we are outliers, and that's what we have to fix. And so jury trial threshold's one of them. The fact that we don't allow admissibility of whether or not you were wearing a seatbelt. Louisiana has twice as many claims, soft tissue claims, as the rest of the country. Things like that where you're an outlier, if you can get us in line, let's see if it helps. You talked about before in the teaser about how no one was saying whether or not it would reduce rates.
Exactly.
Or what, and there was a lot of debate around that. Y'all were talking about that earlier. Why not try? Why are we in a situation, especially right now, that we're not willing to try something new because what is happening is not working?
I've often felt that in terms of things like automobile insurance, general liability for businesses, health insurance, that Louisiana is a climate that's ripe to being held hostage by the insurance companies, particularly the ones that have a big percentage of policies. You hear this all the time. Well, State Farm is threatening to pull out.
Right.
They're not going to pull out. But there are people that believe that and allow them regular rate increases or allow things like this bill to get tossed at the wayside.
The problem is you can't look. We're never supportive of telling anybody what to do as it relates to the private side of business, but so mandating a rate reduction left a lot of concerns for a lot of people. It left concerns for us because what does that then look like 2 years from now? What does that look like 3 years from now? So you have to be careful. You have to balance it. And I think that the omnibus bill that was vetoed had all the things in there to try to balance it all out. And like I said at the start, we knew the governor would probably veto it, and it did have a couple flaws in it. So let's start over. He's going to get another bill, and he can either continue to veto legislation or he can actually try to make change. But we're never going to get there if we don't, if we don't try to put something in the insurance company's hands to put it back on their plate to say, we have changed these laws, we know we're an outlier, we've made these changes, now do something about it and help, and you're not going to leave, and you need to reduce rates, why wouldn't they, you know?
So did this bill address auto accidents in particular, or did it work around it in a more general way? Because what I'd like to know is, did it address the seatbelt admissibility issue?
It did. It did. There were, you know, the goal was to have all of that included, and the whole package of all the things we passed during the regular session. And that bill again is moving, and we have a new bill moving that has the seatbelt gag order removed. House Bill 57 by Speaker Sheikh Snyder has that, and we are supportive of that because you have to. It's against the law to not wear your seatbelt, right? And then the fact that we don't allow that to be admissible is a problem. So that's
And
a big. Yeah.
That flies in the face of logic to me.
Right. Exactly.
I remember some of the more eloquent speechifying on that particular episode many years ago was, we all have a right that prevents us from self-incrimination. As she pointed out, it is a crime, it's a misdemeanor, but we can take plead the fifth. And they have taken this, they have tortured this, because if the report says they weren't wearing seatbelts, which you see in state police reports all the time, occupant was injected, he suffered fatal injuries, he was not restrained. If it's in the report, why can you not admit it into a lawsuit?
Yeah.
You know,
I've never understood this. It's nuts.
It's not. So there's just common sense changes that could be made. Again, where we are an outlier, we're not trying to change something that's so crazy, you know, try to be so different, because we are the ones that are different. We're just trying to get us in line, closer in line with the rest of the country, so that we don't have these things that make us an outlier and make us.
So if they pass it again, it's going to need to pass with a veto-proof vote, because the governor will just veto it again, and then they'll have to consider whether or not they override.
Right.
And I don't remember an override since Buddy Romer.
Right. It's, you know, override is a tough subject matter. There's a lot of things hanging out there, but the fact that they went back into session so quickly, and they have a lot of good things that they're working on this session relative to COVID-related kind of recovery for small business, for business in general, to kind of help jumpstart the economy. There's a lot of good things they're working on where there is a lot of consensus. And that bill, the Speaker's bill yesterday passed out with 78 votes. And that is a veto-proof majority, and so we were excited to see that. We like that bill a lot. Representative Garofalo also had another bill that is a kind of a cleaned-up version of the omnibus bill, and it passed out with 74 votes, I believe, was the final. And so those are both good numbers on those coming out of the House, and we believe that the support remains for tort reform in the legislature. So we believe it'll happen.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
You're talking about a veto. The fact is, that's when, if you want to override a veto, that's when a lot of the horse trading that we all don't like happens.
Yep.
Because it doesn't happen immediately.
Right.
There's a lot of time for back and forth of, like, I will make sure this happens on your bill if you don't vote to override.
Right.
In a better system, they would have better rules that the minute the governor vetoes something, the veto override vote happens within 1 hour.
Well, the problem is we live in Louisiana, where the governor has a substantial amount of power, probably most powerful governor in the country when you look at the constitutional powers of our governor. So he gets 10 days to decide whether he wants to veto the bill if we're in that session. There's a lot of conjecture about 10 days versus 20 days and what the Constitution says, but you know, a lot of people feel that you have to be in that same current session that you passed the bill in to be able to hold to the 10 days. Now, the governor went ahead and vetoed the last bill on Friday, so that's done, and the other bills are moving, and so they'll be heard in Judiciary A tomorrow in the Senate. Those bills will get out of that committee. We are very hopeful and think will. We have a lot of support in the Senate for tort reform. You know, with all the new legislators who were elected, they all came in with a mandate. That's the other thing you have to remember. These legislators came in with a mandate, with a great amount of support for business and change and reform that is going to, you know, so we can quit talking about this issue. Everyone is tired of talking about tort reform. They literally are at the Capitol. They are tired of talking about it. Legislators are. And so they're like, let's get it done. Let's get it off our plate.
We've talked it to death.
My question is about your members. Some of them are because we've actually talked to some of them along the way. This has been in discussion for how many sessions now? Like 3, 4?
Forever.
And we've talked to small business people, and they say, my auto insurance is killing me. One guy told us he had a fleet of 7. Is that small? He had a fleet of 7 vehicles. He had to sell 2 and operate with a fleet of 5 in order to be able to afford the insurance on the 5.
Right.
So how crucial is it that this passes, and what's the thinking? I mean, do you think there'll be an immediate improvement in auto insurance rates, or is this something that would be very gradual?
I think you're going to probably see a gradual. I mean, I don't know that anybody can say it's going to happen overnight. And that's why, for us, it's about making the change to the system so that we can begin to see changes. We have structural problems across our legal structure, across our tax structure. So for our members, if you are able to say, we've made these changes, we know that some relief is coming, at least it's positive for them to at least have some hope about some that very point, that maybe they can get their other 2 trucks back, if they know that they can make that investment into their company at that point. But they're making tough decisions, really tough ones right now with COVID. So you have to think about the fact that they're making tough decisions every day. General liability, and you mentioned general liability, there's all the insurance things that cost a significant amount of money. A business owner doesn't have the luxury of not choosing certain types of insurance, right? So they have to think about that. And not every small business owner has a fleet. So auto insurance doesn't affect them, but it affects them at the personal level, right? So it's the bigger landscape. And so we have to support those changes.
But we've seen these kind of scenarios before. We have to take a break. Let me take a break, and we'll talk a little bit about businesses and their insurance burden legislatively, if you don't mind. Dawn Starns is with us, the state director of the NFIB. You're watching Exiles TV. We thank you for being with us. We'll be back in a moment.
That's right, the Clarence Buggs Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Exiles from what you ask, exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. it's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us this morning. We're talking with Don Starns, who is the state director for the NFIB, the National Federation for Independent Business. And we're talking about something that's been around and around and around, tort reform. That means injuries and court and a way to make it easier for small business to handle what many consider to be oppressive insurance rates. And Dawn, I remember back many years ago, it was in the 90s, early 90s, and this had nothing to do with automobile injury cases. This had to do with the good old slip in the produce section, oh, my neck.
Slip and fall.
And the slip and fall cases, which were rampant. Mm-hmm. And people were getting settlements, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And somebody proposed a bill, which has passed in other states, but has not passed here, where it is a must defend. And in other words, I can't remember what the dollar amount was, so let's say $7,500. So if Kevin slips at Bill's Grocery,
oh, my neck,
and I say, let's just pay him off, we don't want to get involved in all this, and he wants $8,000, my insurance company has got to defend it in court. Mm-hmm. And where this has happened in the past, you're seeing a lot less of these hard to prove your injuries lawsuits. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We also had in this state where they capped medical malpractice because it was going to relieve physicians of these onerous malpractice insurance premiums. I mean, there were OBGYNs that were paying $80,000 a year
for insurance.
And so they capped it, and it didn't change a thing, which is why so many medical practices are now owned by major medical centers, because it's an incentive, because they're paying the medical malpractice or they're self-insuring against it. So what weapons do we really have to give a grab bar to small business to actually compel lower insurance rates?
I think the House Bill 57, the Speaker's bill, is really, I mean, it lowers that jury trial threshold to $10,000. So our jury trial threshold is 50. It brings it down to 10. And in doing that, it puts us way in line with the rest of the country. About half the states have different varying 5 to 10,000. So it gets us off that outlier list. So we're not that scary place to go do business. Mm-hmm. So it brings back potentially competition. And you have the right to request a jury trial. It doesn't mandate it. It doesn't say you have to, because let me tell you, the judges would really be up in arms about that must defend thing you just mentioned. Judges would go sideways on that. But you'd have to at least say, look, you're not going to just write the check. You have the option to go to court and have the conversation with a jury. So there's that. And then the collateral source piece of the bill is a very important. Collateral source goes straight to the heart of the cost of these settlements and this litigation. And it's a little bit difficult theory of law to kind of get out in sound bites and stuff, so you don't hear about it quite as much, but it's discussed as phantom damages. The basically, you know, as we all know, we never pay the full cost of what a procedure costs, right?
Mhm.
Insurance, it goes against insurance. They always negotiate rates, So it's the same thing where you have to now, with this bill, you'd actually be presenting the actual bill, and you would show that as part of evidence so that you know what the real cost of what the injuries were and not some inflated amount, because we don't have punitive damages in this state. That's out, that we don't offer that. And so what this collateral source piece has really become has become an avenue for punitive damages, which drive up the cost of those settlements.
Well, and again, so many attorneys, and I understand this is part of their practice. I am not saying that I think there's anything illegal about this, but I will tell you this. When they say, we'll take care of all your medical expenses, they're sending you to doctors that are working with them, that will fast track you and get you in. If I slip at my home and land on my butt and say my back hurts, I'm going to be waiting 2 weeks to see the orthopedist. But if I walk out in the street to get my mail and somebody clips me with their car and I have the same amount of pain, I'm in a doctor's office the morning after I have called the trial attorney. So I think we're also going to have to wonder how much setting of the costs there may be in some cases before the bills are presented.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be part of it. I think there will have to have a conversation about what, you know, as we begin to kind of implement these type of changes, and we say we don't see any relief in auto insurance rates or overall rates, whatever, any kind of rate, you know, whatever you're seeing, you're not seeing any change, and you're still on the hellhole list, and we've still got a terrible legal climate, and we still rank, you know, awful. You know, okay, well, where else do we need to begin to make changes? I think that we have to challenge ourselves as organizations who represent the business community, and legislators have to challenge themselves as policymakers to go out there and seek the answer, because it's not about putting blame on anybody or the trial bar or anybody else. We have to fix the structural problem that we've created here. We've created the mess that we have, so you know we've got to go about fixing it.
I have
you got
to,
anything else on this? Because I have some other questions.
Yeah, real quickly. I mean, I hate to seem like a jaded individual, but you know, I watch a lot of TV. I see all the commercials, and they're very good commercials. But all of these people look like they're getting ready to line dance or sing zippity doo dah, and they say so and so.
You got me $250,000.
They don't seem to have any lasting disability.
I've seen a couple where somebody was like still on crutches or something like that, but most of them look pretty spry. I mean, how'd you get on top of that truck if you got hurt?
You know, I mean, I don't know that there's anything you can do about it. I really don't know that there's anything you can do about it. The attorneys are doing their job. I think what really happens here is many times the people we pay monthly, our insurance companies, are not doing their job, or certainly not doing the best job, because it's easier just to write a check rather than to send one of your attorneys. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the opposing attorneys can bury you in paper until you just say uncle. That is a reality of the American legal system.
Dawn, in this special session, is there any other bill that you and the NFIB are watching that you have a stake in?
Yeah, you know, obviously these tort reform measures, there's a myriad of tax kind of program-ish rebate initiatives associated with recovery. Mm-hmm. We are obviously have been, and I've talked to you guys about it before, centralized sales tax collection. Mm-hmm. Speaker Scheck-Snyder has brought the bill again for now we're 3 sessions in a row.
What is the objection to this?
Right?
This has gone on since John Kennedy was treasurer.
Local government does not like it, does not want to give up the power of, theoretical power, I guess, of collecting their sales taxes. But, you know, again, it's another way that we're an outlier, and from the rest of the country, we're only one of 4 states that do this, have a messed up system, and right now we're still going to be subject to litigation. So the fact that we're about to implement July 1 will start the Remote Sellers Commission, where if you're an online seller, you'll be mandated to remit But our structure is such that it's so convoluted and messed up and burdensome that we don't believe it's compliant with Wayfair, and we believe it'll be challenged again. And so the state will continue to not collect the online sales tax dollars that are due. We're not advocating for a new tax, you know that. But we are talking about money that is due to the state. Mississippi, over the past 2 years, has collected $380 to $480 million, $400 million from their online sales tax collection, and they're going to collect another 50 this year based on their marketplace facilitator language, which means like the eBays and the Facebooks.
Meanwhile, we're paying this tax, but nobody is collecting it.
Right. Nobody's collecting it.
And nobody in that legislature, certainly nobody in the Department of Revenue, which is not the Treasurer's Office, which I find real strange in this state, looks at them and says, explain to me your objection to letting us collect the sales tax. How are you handling the money differently? How'd you like an audit? Nobody's asking that question, are they? Because they need their political favors at the Capitol.
Well, and the truth is, you have a lot of legislators who support it. A lot came in with a mandate on reform, a mandate on, a pro-business agenda, and we talked a lot about this with the candidates in the election, and they want to support it. They just get, it's that
I want to support it, but I just can't.
About their local guys calling them. But what we have to do is actually just, bite the bullet and say, listen, we are never going to improve our state. We're never going to collect this money that is due to our state without being compliant with Wayfair, having it constitutional. So we're working on that. We'll continue to work on that. That's it's a big deal, and it's something that really must be done. And we'll continue to live in the dark ages and not collect money that's due if we don't. So that's kind of where we're at with
the dark ages is kind of where we're used to.
Yeah, we still can't see people's tax returns to find out if they make too much money to be on Medicaid. But hey, this is Louisiana. Well, we're going to send you back to the legislature with a mandate to go forth and do good. And do good. Don Starns, Executive Director for the state of Louisiana for the National Federation of Independent Business. Always good to have you on with us, Dawn.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure to join on.
Another quick break, and we will be back. This is Exiles TV.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Clarence Bug Show. Yeah, I'm back on the air. That's right, 10 a.m. until 12 noon, Monday and Wednesday, and we replay it Monday and Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. to midnight. Check us out online. You can watch it live at PelicanSportsTV.com, or better yet, why don't you just download the Pelican Broadcasting app? That way you can take it with you anywhere you go. That's right, the Clarence Bug Show. Tell you what, oh, wait, gotta run, gotta go, bye.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Welcome back.
It's Exiles TV. Bill Profit over there. Kevin Gallen.
I looked
over
up at the
here.
wrong monitor. I saw Clarence. I was like, where is he? You can, of course, watch Clarence in the same time slot tomorrow.
So, interesting. I've had people disagree with me on that bill that got vetoed, the tort reform bill. I said, as amended, it didn't really have any teeth. As amended, there was nothing in there that absolutely mandated that insurance companies lower their rates. And to me, if that's the purpose of the bill, if that's what they use as the selling point, do you get lower car insurance rates? There's something in the bill. There should be something in the bill, as signed and sent to the governor. It says lower car insurance rates, but that mandate's not there. This is a hope that if we get in line with other states on their jury practices, that we'll get lower car insurance.
Isn't the slogan that's right above the main entrance to the Capitol? Doesn't it say, "You going to believe me or what your lying eyes tell you?"
What your lying eyes tell you. But it's a bill based on hope. You know, I mean, we talked earlier about the daylight savings time bill. That's a contingent bill. It's like when we pass bills that are based on the hope that this will be the result or the contingency that it will take effect if. What are we really doing as a legislature? Anything? I mean,
don't tempt me.
I was just, the daylight. Let's talk daylight savings.
We got
time
the
bill.
LSU National Championship license plate.
I was amazed at daylight savings time because, I covered the legislature for 7 years, and forgive me, I'm not going to be able to remember the lawmaker's name. He's long since left the legislature, but he was from the Slidell area. And this was before term limits. He'd been in there for quite some time, and every year he would bring that up to put Louisiana on daylight saving time permanently. And it was his pet bill. He brought it up year after year after year, and every year it would either face defeat or be tabled or be vetoed. And this time around, it goes. A similar bill goes to Governor Edwards, and he signs it because why the hell not?
Why not? It doesn't matter.
It's like unless Congress says we can do it, we can't do it. So it doesn't matter that we've done it because we haven't done it, and it's not done. You follow the way I'm drifting?
Yeah, I like that.
So if that's what kind of bills you're going to pass and send to the governor, then really what are you doing?
Well, you talked about having something in the bill that requires lower insurance premiums. We really don't need that. That's why we have an insurance commission and an insurance commissioner. They can mandate an end to increases. Mm-hmm. They can mandate a review for rate reductions. We don't need it written into the legislation.
They've denied other rate increases, but rarely have they denied a rate increase asked for auto insurance. The state's largest auto insurer right now, as far as number of policies, is, of course, State Farm.
What are you wearing?
State Farm, yeah, Jake from State Farm. But State Farm has something like over 30% of all the policies in the state,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest, now you say, well, that's only around a third, but that 2/3 is split up between like 20 other carriers.
At least 20 other, yeah.
So State Farm has the largest piece of the pie, and when they say something like, well, State Farm will just take their book, they'll just abandon ship on their book of business. They're not going to do that.
No.
Not with that much business. They're not. But people say if you mandate that they must lower the rates, they will simply pick up their marbles and go home.
Well, a truthful story, Karen and I had been with State Farm for 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got an increase in 2018, I thought it was kind of absurd. And I thought it was high. So I went shopping. And I went to Geico. And it was a big saving.
Mm-hmm.
But the very next premium...
15 minutes can save you... No.
Well, the very next premium year, State Farm lowered their rates in Louisiana.
And caught up with Geico?
Got lower than Geico, and Geico raised our rates. And by the way, most of these car insurance companies, because of COVID, have given a big premium reduction because you're not driving as much. You're staying at home. Now, Geico is advertising...
By the way, I have not seen that.
Yeah,
for my
Geico is
insurance.
advertising it, but I haven't seen it. They just drafted my account yesterday for the same rate.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see any reduction in my in my 6-month deck sheet because of you're using your car less.
But I really do think that it is time for the Insurance Rating Commission and that executive
that's
office.
the thing. We no longer have an insurance rating commission. We got rid of that during the Jindal administration.
Okay, so
it's purely up to Jim Donelon and whatever advisors and actuaries he has over there at the Department of Insurance.
But the thing is, they're at the point where they can deny a rate increase, but everything else they're just advisory for. They can't come in and say, you all are gouging people in Louisiana, and here's the statistics, the data, and here's why you all need to have at least a 6% decrease for this group of drivers, a 12% for this group of drivers. You know they're not doing it. You know they're not doing it.
During the last election, when Jim Donelon faced... And first, let me preface by saying I know Jim Donelon personally, and I think he's a fine man. I consider him a friend.
And I think he's doing a good job with what he's got, by the way.
But there are people that, when he was running for re-election the last time around, they said, this guy's a rubber stamp for the insurance companies, especially the auto insurers. He gives them whatever they ask for. I don't know enough. I haven't done enough research to tell you if that's true or false. But when he was being seriously challenged by a guy named Tim Temple, who we had on our programs, again, seemed like an earnest individual. And Tim Temple's argument was, Jim Donelon's never worked in the insurance industry. I have. I know how it works. Donelon's argument against that was, well, he's worked in the insurance industry. That means he's going to be on their side. So who do you believe?
Well, and also, the insurance commissioner's office is a lot like the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. Did you know that their job is not only to regulate commercial aviation, but to promote it and watch it grow, help it grow?
I had no idea that was
I'm
part
not
of the
so
mission.
sure that the insurance commissioner's office is not
Similarly tasked.
So
help it grow.
You've got to promote good insurance coverage and more policies and more products, as well as regulate the policies and products that you have. And I think therein lies a great big dilemma, which puts you and I and all of you on the hook. Who has not had a rate increase in their insurance?
Show of hands.
Over the last 3 years. How many of you have not had a rate increase?
That's not many. I'll throw numbers at you. My wife and I have two modest automobiles. One is a 2014, one is a 2016. Neither one of them over $18,000 in their original sale price. Okay, so now they're at their age, their value is 5, maybe 6. Okay, so they're modest automobiles. Our annual insurance bill is over $3,800, and that's with a bundle with home. So I'm kicking myself in the teeth because I should be out shopping for cheaper insurance and move that whole bundle.
We are not bundled with home, and our insurance bill is $4,300 a year for 2 automobiles.
Wow.
Both of which are 2004. And by the way,
it could be argued that your wife's automobile is a luxury automobile.
It is.
But it's also several model years old, isn't
and
it?
it's also got every safety feature that's supposed to reduce your insurance.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah, but it's nice, so...
And no tickets. No tickets for either of us in the last 15 years.
Our insurance company is one of those, safe drivers save 40%. We haven't made a claim. We haven't had a ticket. We haven't had a
40%
moving
on
violation in 25 years. Why aren't we getting 40%?
If you allow them to put the bug in your vehicle, you save your 40%.
That's what it is. You got to let them follow you, monitor you.
We'll be back with Hour 2 on Exiles TV.
Belello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Belello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi gang, Clarence Bugs here. Cox Cable is upgrading the signal from the Pelican, but to catch us, you're going to have to tune in now to a new number. Acadiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Gramercy, Lutcher. Check your guide for details.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Back. I told you we'd be back. When I tell you, believe me.
That's right. This is going on your permanent record.
Bill Profita, I'm Kevin. Glad to have you with us. This hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about business and what the legislature's trying to do or not trying to do to make things better for business in Louisiana. We've got a business theme today, I think it's easy to say. But the president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, Stephen Waguespack, will be our guest later this hour.
Well, and Stephen has also been around the legislature a very, very long time, that he actually offers some reasonably thought-out value judgments about some of the performance on some of these bills.
Stephen Waguespack at one time had Jay Darden's job.
Mm-hmm.
He was the chief architect of the state budget for Governor Jindal at one time.
Yeah.
So this is a guy who knows his way around. He knows his stuff, and I trust what he says. I trust his judgment. We're going to talk with him coming up later this hour. Where are we going? What is this special session doing? Are they doing anything to make life better for you and for me, both as taxpayers and as some of you are private business people, small business people, and some of you big business people.
Well,
if big business can't survive in this state, then what chance do we have?
Well, big taxes, big payroll taxes, big benefits, big purchases, that all plays into it. I'm going to be interested to ask Stephen, what is it, 30% of the legislature is brand new, something like that?
There was a pretty big turnover this time around, thanks to term limits. I can't remember the exact percentage, but it's a good sized chunk of people that are absolute rookies in the legislature.
Yeah, I saw some video of one of the committee meetings, and one of the legislators, God bless her, looked like she just stepped off the stage as Miss Teen America and into the committee room.
There are some fresh young faces. And I think it's good that younger people are running for the legislature and want to get involved in politics. I worry sometimes that the younger generation, the 20-somethings and even into the early 30s, I worry sometimes that they don't really care about anything. And, especially when I see what people in their 20s are doing in cities like Seattle and Baltimore and London, it seems like the 20-somethings and the people in their early 30s just want to bitch and whine and protest and burn and smash. And it's like, that's no way to go through life.
I don't necessarily have a problem with younger people. And when I say younger, I mean, I'm talking about under the age of halfway to dead, which is what you normally have in legislatures. When somebody in their 30s gets elected, or maybe even late 20s, I think there is a perspective that is valuable there. And whether you agree with the perspective or not remains to be seen. But I think when you go into the Louisiana legislature, I think you get a lot of foghorn leghorns that basically treat these people like they're serfs for the first 3 years of their first term, and they never really get the podium, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. Sometimes the rookies don't really get that big a chance to get their ideas out there. I've seen people that had a bill that had a lot of potential, that they got their day in committee and they got to sum up the bill, and then somebody up on that panel says, I vote to involuntarily table this bill. We're going to just set it aside.
Thank you, Bubba.
And when they say involuntarily, that means the committee votes and you have no say-so in it as the author of the bill. You're done.
Well,
we're not going to hear it. We're not going to talk about it anymore.
And when you're new, you got to have some...
Defer is the word. Voluntarily defer.
It sounds so nice rather than kill your bill with a meat cleaver.
Kill it dead.
Yeah. But, I mean, you have to have some steel when you're brand new. Now, a legislator from the Baton Rouge area that we know very well, Paula Davis, didn't take any of that when she was in her first year. She made sure that they were paying attention, that she was heard, and they didn't mess with her too much.
Yep, and now she's in her second term in office, and she's got a committee chairmanship. See, that's just, you got to step up, you got to get noticed, you got to make sure people hear you, and don't let these old farts push you around. One of the things I love about term limits now is you get some of these, towards the end of session and end of special session, you're going to get that day on the floor, whether it's in the House or the Senate, where the guys that are leaving, and they won't be back, get to say a few words, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes the older these guys get, the less they care about what it is they go on the record with. I'm remembering a guy whose name, I think it was Ned Romero. He was in the House of Representatives. They called him Romo. Do you remember this dude?
I remember him. Errol Romero, wasn't it?
And I want to say Ned, but
you're thinking Ned Randolph, who grew kind of long in the tooth as well.
Romo was the guy's nickname. And he was up there. He was in his late 70s. And, he got up and they asked me to say a few words about how much I'm going to miss this. And he basically, I'm paraphrasing, I says, I'm not. He says, I'm so ready to quit. I'm just sick of it, the whole thing. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of all of it. I was just like, that's awesome.
He gets points for candor.
That is awesome. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this place. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of all of it.
Have we ever, some of them stayed so long, have we ever had one of them actually expire in the Capitol?
I don't think anybody, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think we've had a lawmaker actually.
Because God knows there
have had some people
many of them in the past that have been candidates for that.
We've had some people that had to be taken to the hospital, but I don't know if anybody's actually, at the cap. Could be wrong about it. Historians, help us out. We're going to take a brief pause, take care of a little bit of business, and Exiles TV will be back in just moments.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
That's right, the Clarence Buggs Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican, 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Good morning. Welcome to Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us. I'm Bill Profita. He is Kevin Gallagher.
Guilty.
So, did you see this story in Baton Rouge? They weren't sure what had happened until a little bit later, but apparently at the Cortana Mall Walmart yesterday afternoon.
Oh yeah, a little gunplay yesterday.
Well, one shot was fired. I don't know about in Lafayette or in Thibodaux or in Slidell or New Orleans or Kenner, but all of our Walmarts in the Baton Rouge area, they contract with off-duty sheriff's deputies to provide a security presence. Drive up to any Walmart, you'll see a marked sheriff's unit, and the deputy is sometimes overseeing the parking lot, sometimes inside, and apparently
just nearby in case they need him.
A deputy who was working extra duty was notified by the store's loss prevention department that somebody was trying to steal. Now, this guy was seen on surveillance footage switching tags for various items and then trying to go past the cash registers. Well,
why switch the tags? Excuse me? Why are you switching tags if you're just going to shoplift?
So the deputy and the employee confronted him, and there was a struggle. What's scary about this is that the guy was able to disarm the deputy and fire his weapon.
Gulp.
This was going on while the deputy was trying to get control of the man. Gabriel Nicole Francis, age 31. Now, he has been located this morning in Lafayette.
See, he did the logical thing. He beat feet, got some interstate between him and the scene of the crime. Didn't help.
Yeah, but they got a great picture of him on the surveillance video. But, you know,
his lovely hair.
Yeah, in this time of very, 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 very heightened tension, I do not know the race of the deputy, but Mr. Francis is African American. Did the deputy try to handle him a little bit gingerly because of the increased tensions we are seeing now and the increased scrutiny? Because it's rare that someone who is really taken down to be arrested can get a hold of an officer's weapon. It was holstered. The officer did not draw down on this guy.
No, but all that's holding it in the holster is gravity and a snap.
No, not true. You have a double lock on police officers' holsters now. You have to know exactly what 2 points to hit to get it out of the holster. But now, again, you can learn where they are, all right? You can buy a holster just like the cops use, and you can practice with it. But I have to wonder if all of this scrutiny is not hamstringing some of our officers when it comes to somebody who needs to be put on the ground for everybody's safety, if they're not doing it as quickly or effectively as they did, say, 3 weeks ago because of all of this controversy. I have to wonder.
There may be something to it. Now, I don't know if that was necessarily the case at Walmart in Baton Rouge yesterday, but if I were a cop, I would be especially careful about how I handled things with anybody, let alone a member of a quote-unquote minority. Because the cops are all in a fishbowl right now, and everybody's ready to hate them. Even their own city governments are ready to hate them.
Here's another line. He was not able to remove it from the holster, but he was able to pull the trigger while it was in the holster.
Oh, so this thing went off in the holster, which could have possibly wounded the deputy by putting a bullet in his leg.
Yep.
Or foot. That's even worse, in my opinion.
But, you know, again, I know that sometimes it's very, very difficult to control somebody that you're trying to take into custody. But
go ahead and make your point, and I'm going to say something.
How many times shall we say, let's start May 1st and back. How many times from the beginning of the year to May 1st did you hear about a police officer losing their weapon in a struggle with somebody?
Across the nation? A couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we've had the officer in Atlanta that lost his taser.
Yes.
The officer in Dallas that lost his weapon. And this guy.
What about the people that are willing to risk bodily harm over shoplifting? It's like, are you crazy? You're just shoplifting.
Well,
just go ahead and cooperate with the officer and go to jail and get your what is going to be a legal slap on the wrist.
Well, this guy's a convicted felon. They've pulled his record. They know who he is.
Yeah, but we're letting convicted felons out of jail because COVID-19. You know, I mean, this is not a logical time in American history right now.
Well, first of all, you have to remember, nobody ever said that garden variety thieves are real smart.
The chap who got a cop's taser, was that in Florida? Was it in Miami?
It was Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay. Got a cop's taser, ran, then turned to fire the taser at the cop.
Right.
And was shot dead himself. First of all, tragedy, the man had to lose his life. But he was a fellow who had only just a couple of weeks before been released from prison. He was in prison on a felony, and yet there he was in commission of a crime again. This time it was, I think, DUI was the charge.
Well, he was passed out asleep in a Wendy's drive-thru, and I saw the video from when the officers first approached. They were very nice, and he was very nice to the officers.
But then all of a sudden,
he was trying to talk them out of writing him up for a DWI. He said, "My house is right there. I can walk to it." And they were like, "We can't do that. You know, we understand, but we got to book you." And when they went to cuff him, all hell broke loose. Now, I don't believe that an officer ever discharges their weapon into the back of somebody. But are we now going to tell officers, don't pursue? Because you got his car, you've seen his ID, you know who he is, you know where we find him. Are we going to tell cops, don't pursue? Because it's not worth the price.
How do you feel about that, Bill?
I'm frightened to where some of this is going to go out of knee-jerk, but I think some of this is also going to go to a very good place that it should have gone to before. The firing of the taser at the deputy, I think, is an assault.
Yes.
But by the time the deputy's gun cleared his holster, this guy had his back to him and was beating feet.
By the way, there's probably not a police force in the nation that doesn't teach their people that if they've got your taser, don't let yourself get tased. Use deadly force if you have to. Because if you let yourself get tased, what's next? You're incapacitated, and then they got your gun.
Yeah. Well, he had back up there. There was another officer. But, I mean, you got to wonder, and I'm not smart enough to say, and I've never had to be in that situation. But do we, for the sake of public safety, and I mean this in a very broad sense, and officer safety, and suspect safety, not pursue in a case like this, because it's just not worth the god-awful price. They got his ID, they got his car, they know where he lives. Is it worth running and drawing your gun?
How's that going to affect police going forward? Are they going, he's not worth it?
I think it's already affected him.
Yeah, he's not worth it. We've had, how many police have quit their jobs, taken retirement if it was available, or just quit? Hundreds of police across the country have just quit.
Well, did you see the video of, it was about a dozen Chicago police officers that were called to a United States Congressman's office in Chicago, his district office. There was a protest outside, and apparently there were some people that were working there that felt threatened. So they asked the officers to come in and help them secure it. And this is a small office, okay? It's maybe, 1,000 square feet. And it was at least a dozen, maybe more officers in full riot gear, laying across the couches, taking a nap. They weren't being lazy. They were sending a message saying, you don't want us to do our jobs according to the book. So we're going to sit this one out. They were sending a message.
Yeah.
Now, I am not going to weigh in on whether that message was right or wrong, but that is the message that was being sent.
All right, it is time for us to take another break. And when we return, we're going to talk with Stephen Waguespack, President and CEO of the LABI. That's the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. That's just 3 minutes away on Exiles TV.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
State Treasurer John Schroeder, encouraging you to visit LATreasury.com to search for your unclaimed property money. During this pandemic, we've returned money to businesses, local governments, and people across Louisiana.
New Orleans Habitat for Humanity found unclaimed property with the Louisiana Treasury.
Audubon Nature Institute has unclaimed property.
I found unclaimed property with the Louisiana Department of Treasury.
We still have over $800 million. This is your money. Claim it.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hello, hola, ni
好。
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Clarence Bug Show. Yeah, I'm back on the air. That's right, 10 a.m. until 12 noon, Monday and Wednesday, and we replay it Monday and Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. to midnight. Check us out online. You can watch it live at PelicanSportsTV.com, or better yet, why don't you just download the Pelican Broadcasting app? That way you can take it with you anywhere you go. That's right, the Clarence Bug Show. Tell you what, oh, wait, gotta run, gotta go, bye.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us this morning. Bill Profita, Kevin Gallagher, and center stage, Stephen Waguespack. He is the president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, LABI. And Stephen visits us when he can because he has to spend an awful lot of time at the legislature.
That big pointy building downtown.
That big pointy building downtown.
That's right.
I've got to ask you, before we talk about specific instruments, how are the new kids doing?
I'm enjoying hanging out with the new kids. For folks who are listening, the new kids are the new term limited legislators. Mm-hmm. There was a huge election cycle in the last time. A big flood of new people came into the Capitol. And I kind of feel bad for them because they came in on a reform, change agenda. They came in ready to tackle the world, and they get there, and obviously COVID-19, and the session shut down, then it restarts again, and now they're in special. So it's been like a little chaotic, but man, they are getting their sea legs. They've got one good idea after another. And, the kind of insider machine that has controlled the Capitol forever is kind of sizing them up, and they don't know how to kind of get their arms around them and all that stuff. And the new kids are saying, no, we're going to teach ourselves. We're going to figure this out. So it's kind of interesting to watch them work. And there's a lot of talented, smart, reform-oriented people there who just want to do good things for Louisiana. So they're fun to work with. They really are.
Plus the number of those, I don't want to demean them, but those old familiar faces, it's starting to, there's still some, but they're starting to slowly fade away. The loss of John Ilario, some people say that's a tremendous, step forward for the legislature. But some people say that's a hell of a resource gone. Yeah. But you got people like Mr. Fannin, who I think has jumped chambers. You got Francis Thompson, who's been there forever and ever, amen. Sooner or later, his day is going to come as well. So to me, it's good to see, not that the old guard is necessarily being purged, but a new guard is coming up in the ranks.
Yeah, you always want to mix. It's kind of like putting together a ball club, right? You want a good mix of like young talent and veteran leadership, and you want too much of one or the other. It's kind of where the legislature is right now. You've got enough folks walking around who've been there a long time who can say, okay, that's a hot stove, that's a hot stove, but you don't have so many of them that it can gum everything up. So it's actually a pretty good balance right now. So I kind of feel bad for the young guns. They didn't get a clean session without the COVID-19 stuff. Yeah. But I think next year you're going to see them figure out some of the nuances of the building, and you're really going to see them shine next year.
On a scale of 1 to 5, overall, how would you give this legislature as far as their business friendliness?
I think the legislature's been fantastic. On 1 to 5, I guess 5's good. I'd give them 4.999. I mean, we're not finished on this special session, so you never spike the football before you're in the end zone, right? But I would tell you, the House Speaker and the Senate President are working together in a way that we've never seen before. And working together doesn't mean that they rubber stamp everything we want. They come in and say, nope, can't do that, can't do that. That's fine, because it's part of a organized plan they're doing. They're putting the economy, the real people in the real world first. They're trying to kind of gather some of the ways to help those folks. They're telling the machine inside the Capitol, hey, look, you're going to have to wait your turn. We got to fix the economy first. And so I'm very impressed with the approach they're taking. Very sensible, very reform oriented. It's been fun so far.
What's the finished budget going to look like when they get it finished?
I think when you say finished budget, I will tell you that pretty soon you're going to have a budget that they go home and say this works, but that's not the finished budget. Because right now you've got a lot of federal dollars in there, and you've got a lot of guesses when it comes to what the revenue and the economy is going to look like by the end of the year. The real finished budget, that story will be told in October, November, December timeframe. Because around October, November, December, I think that's where we're going to start to have some real numbers that come back. All right, how many small businesses went bankrupt? How many are still alive? How many have less customers this year, more customers this year? Who's the winners and losers? And you're going to see, for the first time this fall, real sales tax collection numbers, income tax collection numbers, property tax collection numbers, et cetera. That's where you're going to know whether there's a hole in the budget or not. And so it would not surprise me at all if they come back in the fall, because there's going to be a recognized shortfall because the economy hasn't rebounded fast enough, and there may be some budget adjustments needed then. The best way to prevent that from happening is for the legislature to do exactly what they're doing right now. They're trying to take bold steps to kickstart the economy as fast as possible. They're trying to get ahead of that fall hole that may be coming. So they're trying to get ahead of it, and we'll see if working with the governor they can get that done.
What about the code word used to be seeking efficiencies, which was a way of saying cutting the budget, the state budget, as far as the cost of operating government? Are they still seeking efficiencies, or are they pretty much consent to go with 32 bill and make that work?
In all candor, you haven't seen a whole lot yet of that discussion yet. And I think the reason why is because there's so many problems in the economy. They focus their effort on that, trying to jumpstart, especially the small business economy. And on the budget side, on the spending side, when the feds come in and say, hey, here's $1.8 billion to make your budget work, it's kind of hard to have a cut discussion because they give you all this money, but that money's not going to be there next year. This is the federal adjustment that came in to help with the COVID-19 response. They know next year there's going to be a day of reckoning, and so I think that cut dynamic, especially once some of these new legislators come in and get a little bit more comfortable with how to make change, I think next year's session where you'll see some streamlining of government take more serious discussion.
Well, when we talk about cutting and streamlining, there is always a highly electrified third rail in the biggest recipient of tax dollars, where a great many people feel there should be cuts made, and that's DH.
Yeah.
I don't know how these rookies are going to navigate that.
Department of Health is the biggest behemoth in the budget. It is hard to know where the money's coming from, where it's going, where the proper dollars are being spent, where it's not. And so, the legislative auditor has done some pretty good work over the last several years to try to smoke some of that out. Again, in this budget, because there's so much, quite frankly, federal money that's been put on, it's been challenging for any real debate to come up on that. But I think over the next year, you're going to see some of those audit reports come and get some traction in the legislature. And look, we represent healthcare members, and I would tell you, they just want to serve their community, do their best. There's so many good actors there who struggle every day to be able to provide services that the community needs. I mean, whether it's treatment for addiction or things like that. But the funding streams of the state doesn't always reward those good actors. It rewards those who had a good lobbyist who got some finger on the scale at some point. And so when people say streamlining LDH or cutting LDH, people think, well, that's going to hurt my local hospital or something. If you do it right, you can fund the good actors in your community and smoke out some of the bad actors who've been, living on the government dime for too long.
Well, you talk about that, as they used to say in the old neighborhood where I grew up, the butcher's got his thumb on the scale. And it would seem to me that we worried about that during COVID, but we didn't worry about it with the major health providers. We worried about it in smaller areas where they were not getting any help for their cases, or they thought they weren't, and so therefore started making claims Now, I don't know that we have any providers in Louisiana that do that, but I've got to think at this point, and not just in healthcare, but in a lot of business reopening, I've got to feel that we've got some people in smaller communities in the legislature that don't want to hear about the big entities. They want to hear about their backyard. And it can get kind of sticky.
It always does. And, you know, the thing about Louisiana, if you go back to that statue in the front of the Capitol of Huey Long, the legacy is still there. Every area has a public entity that they need to protect, whether it's a local public hospital or a local public university or community college or technical school or whatever it is. And so, yeah, you trip over that all the time. And I think in the healthcare space, what we see is, especially when you get to some of these rural hospitals, you know, the market challenges they're facing is telemedicine becoming more of an option. You know, people are, you know, if you give them Medicaid, that's one thing, but if they don't have proper services that they can go get, it doesn't do them much good. So the demand for services, the demand for telemedicine, the demand for people to get care without leaving their comfort zone is putting a lot of pressure on those rural hospitals to evolve their market. You know, back in the day, as long as they got their state check and kept their doors open, everyone would come to them. Mm-hmm. Now, people are more mobile with their healthcare choices. They can go with whether you have private coverage or public coverage. You're going to go find the best specialist you can get to, even if you got to drive somewhere to get it. Our institutions have to learn; they have to compete, or they have to be swallowed up. And I think that's what you're going to see over the next couple of years.
Well, and you know, I think you have a very good point there, that we used to always talk about the community hospital system. And the local doctor that grew up and went to high school where you did and came back here to practice medicine. And this weekend, driving through Alexandria, heading back toward Baton Rouge, I saw a huge amount of marketing for Mary Bird Perkins, Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Center, because it is a regional cancer center.
Well, there's finally a market, too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people who walk around the Capitol and in the press corps right now who talk about the good old glory days of the charity hospital system. That system was wrecking our budget, and it was not providing quality care to those people that needed it most. But the poor people in Louisiana were forced to go wait long lines, months at a time sometimes, to get substandard care. It was a disaster. And so now we're in a new model where we're doing public-private partnerships all around the state, and you're seeing, whether you're in Baton Rouge or Alexandria that you mentioned, you're seeing an infusion of the market coming in and address some of those concerns. That's good for the local economy, but it's also good for those poor people who now can get quality care in some of these areas. And so when you hear people in the legislature talk about the good old days of the charity hospital system, there's no one that has benefited more from the new public-private partnerships we're doing than the poor people of this state who used to depend on a substandard system to get care, and now they can have the same benefits of a healthy market that people with means have, and that's good for everyone. It's good for the taxpayer and the people who want good health.
Well, and
interesting.
As far as I've seen since we went to this system, there is nobody that has alleged any irregularities in the contracts that DH has awarded to indigent care to the major medical centers. It all seems to be going smooth as glass.
Sure. I mean, I haven't seen. I mean, there's always going to be bumps in the road of anything, and so if those are there, hey, that's great. Let's address them. But addressing a bump in the road and saying, man, if we could just go back to those good old crumbling buildings that used to deliver substandard care, that's ridiculous.
People parked on gurneys in the hallways.
Oh,
and
it was
stuff.
sad. Some of those situations you had was sad.
I saw some photos from some of the charity hospitals, especially Big Charity in New Orleans. People wax nostalgic for Big Charity, but it in some ways was a negative experience for patients.
50 years ago, maybe it was the right, plan, but in modern society, that's not the way to help poor people. It's not the way to help taxpayers.
I think we also have to be very realistic, because they did train a lot of great physicians and nurses and took care of a lot of people at the Big Charity system, but that was not a business decision or a medical decision. That was a political decision.
Without a doubt. And compare the training that was done then to the training being done now, light years difference.
There you go.
We're going to take another quick break, take care of some business. Stephen Waguespack is our guest, and we'll be back with more on Exiles TV. Stay there.
Belello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
This is Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us this morning. A reminder, if you only caught part of this or you've got somebody that you think couldn't make it because, gosh, they're working, there's a replay. This exact show replays in its entirety tonight at 10 p.m. So you can watch it on this very same cable station.
That's right. And after only a few hours, you can also go to YouTube. And these programs are archived on YouTube. Search Pelican Broadcasting and view them on demand. One more quick note. This program is brought to you in part today by Secretary of State John Schroeder's office and his Unclaimed Property Division. And 1 week from today on the program, we're going to devote an hour to unclaimed property. Once again, take your calls and find out if you've got some money waiting for you.
Last time we did it, we had more calls than this.
Calls.
Yeah, we had 36 that made it to the air, and for all but 4 of them, we actually found some money.
Yep.
Now, some of it was a small amount, but there were some that were thousands.
Sometimes it's like, yes, congratulations, you've got 28 cents.
Yeah, true story.
But, you know, I mean, it happens. So you never know. If you're a renter, you could have a deposit that you never collected on. There's all sorts of things. So find out about unclaimed property 1 week from today here on Exiles TV.
And, and the treasurer's done a really good job with that.
John
program.
Schroeder
He
is
really
a good
has.
man.
He's done a really good job with it.
Stephen Waguespack is the president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Let's get to the topic that we discussed a little bit with Dawn Starns in hour 1, and that is tort reform. Mm-hmm. It came as no surprise that the bill that was passed and sent to the governor got the big fat veto. So they're working on another bill in special session. What do they hope to be different?
So I think it will be different, and I'm, knock on wood or whatever product this is, I'm going to assume that we're going to get something done this session. And the reason why I assume that is because This has become a crisis that is so well known around the state. Legislators, governors, no matter what title you are, you cannot feel the same thing that we're feeling, that the people will not tolerate them not fixing this issue. So the governor issued a veto on the first bill. He issued it on 5:30 on a Friday, dumped it before the news weekend.
It's always how they do it.
Always how they do it, and so, look, what that tells me is they know they're on shaky footing. They know this is not a comfortable spot for them to be in. And look, I'll be honest, I want everyone to get a win out of this. I want the governor to get a win, the legislature. Everyone should recognize that there's an opportunity for a win here. And the win is we've got an insurance crisis. Insurers are leaving the state. Our rates are the second highest in the country. It's all due because of a legal system that we have allowed to deteriorate into what we have today. You cannot drive down the road and just be constantly reminded by one sign after another of the people who are preying in our legal system, turning it into a candy machine for them. We all pay the rates in higher insurance rates. It's unaffordable for families. It's driving small box trucks and farmers and other small businesses out of business. They can't get commercial insurance. This is the very definition of a crisis. And so, yes, the Talbot bill was vetoed, but that's okay because right now there are two bills going through the House yesterday, huge bipartisan support. They'll be in the Senate June committee this week, tomorrow and Wednesday. And in that committee, we expect them to come out, go to the Senate floor, and I think the governor once again will have one, maybe two good, strong bills on his desk by the end of this session. And all we can do is beg and implore and plead with the governor to recognize this for what it is. This is a crisis moment. If we don't act right now, next year when we come back, the crisis will be worse. The rates will be higher. The insurers will be probably less in the market, especially on the commercial side. This crisis will not go away with a slick talking point or a Friday news data dump at 5:30. You cannot fix it with that. It has to be fixed with legislation. There's good bills going to his desk. I have confidence that he is going to see the light and sign one of these, and I'm not going to give up until that happens.
What will be the benefit for the average taxpayer of Louisiana? Have you all been able to quantify that yet? Two working people, two cars, maybe they make a combined income of $120K, something like that. What's their benefit going to be?
So the average, we did a study with the U.S. Chamber a couple of years ago, and the average tort tax every family pays is about $4,000 per year in extra cost because of a flawed legal climate. And so how much of that would come down on that? The actuaries have to answer that question. The bill that he vetoed had a 10% rate reduction in there unless the insurer could show that it was going to become insolvent and basically go out of business or leave the state.
So it did have a mandated reduction.
It did. Now, the trial lawyers will say, oh, that's not true because it didn't, put a gun to their head and all that.
I've heard this.
That's what they say. And what it said is a 10% rate reduction unless the insurer can show that they're either going to be insolvent or leave the state, that they can't afford, that their actuarial claims don't justify it. What the trial lawyers will never tell you is insurers are not mandated to be here. There's a reason why many of them are not. Because if you push them out through a flawed legal climate or bad policy, they'll just leave. They got 49 other states they can go deliver insurance in. And so what would happen is if an insurer would say, hey, we're going to leave, then you would say, okay, we can make a tweak here and there. But it was a 10% rate reduction. We would like for that amendment to be in this bill as well. We want the rate reduction. The only reason we're in this is to drive down rates and reduce frivolous lawsuits. What also with the trial bars forget sometime is over the years in Louisiana, when we've had problems, crisis points like this, we've acted on it. When the workers' comp system was about to collapse in the Foster regime, they made some legal reforms. We've seen those rates go down drastically, competition come to the market. There was no mandated decreases in those bills, but they fixed the market and the market responded with more options and lower rates. After Katrina and Rita, the property casualty market was about to collapse. They came in, they fixed some of those legal systems, they fixed the system. There's no mandated decreases in there, but what happened? We saw rates go down and more insurers come to the market. Right now, our auto insurance crisis is no different than the property and casualty after Katrina and the workers' comp during the Foster area. And when the legislature goes in and makes strategic reforms to improve our legal system, improve our policies, we've seen every time people come back to the market, rates go down. We're going to see the same thing if this passes this time. And so all we're asking is for the governor to listen to the will of the people, listen to the 78 votes that passed that bill in the House floor yesterday. That is Republican, Democrat, Independents, all voted for that bill yesterday. Just listen to those folks, put a signature on that bill. I think we'll all be pleased with the reform we see a year or two down the road.
Let me ask you this. one of the things that I have heard, and I've actually repeated, is that for better or for worse, we have created a very large industry with trial lawyers. We have created a very, very big part of the advertising volume that you see on outdoor advertising
Economic
companies,
engine.
that you see on television, that you see in newspaper. This is a very, very big economy now. I would submit respectfully that it's probably about 30% of the revenue for an average major market television station.
Oh, at least I would think.
What are they saying? Are these trial lawyers going to say that we're going to have to cut our staff and put people out of work if this passes? What is the reality of the economics from that side?
It's a great question, because what you have is you have a silent, grumbling minority, actually the majority in numbers in the trial lawyer community. You've got what we call in Louisiana a bunch of country lawyers. You know, these are folks, and look, we've all got them in our family and friend circles and all that stuff. They're a country lawyer in a town. They handle a little personal injury. They handle little contracts, maybe a will. They might help you on something, a succession. They do a little bit of everything. Those folks are getting killed and priced out of the market, because while they're all sitting here just trying to compete for this, like whatever comes through the door, you've got in this hand about 10 mega firms. And they're basically, they're marketing firms with call centers and everything, and those are the guys you're seeing on the billboard. These guys are pricing out everyone else from the market. They're destroying the market for everyone else. So it's funny, when you're in the Capitol, if you run into one of these guys over here, they'll pull your arm and say, hey, good job, I can never say anything, but keep it up. Get those guys out of here. These are the guys who are destroying the market, driving up rates for everyone. And these are the guys who will never come to the Capitol and testify. They'll never publicly say anything. They're in hiding because right now, their future vacation home and helicopter pad depends on this bill getting vetoed. And quite frankly, I got nothing against people having vacation home. I hope they can have vacation with their family all the time. That's a beautiful way to live a life. But everyone over here is getting destroyed, so a few can have vacations home, and it's got to stop.
I want to be very careful how I put this. Is it your opinion? Does your research say that if this bill passes, their economic model is going to have to be redone, and they are not going to make anywhere near as much money as they're making now, these mega firms?
Yes.
Yes.
And the reason why is because the real lawsuits, the real injuries, the real claims, the real issues, you get a bad wreck, sometimes bad things happen. Those country lawyers can, hey, they will have a good case. That'll all be taken care of. Everyone's going to have their claims, handled. It's the phantom damages that are paid every single day that these guys feed off of. That's where the big money comes from, the phantom damages. If you just take out the phantom damages, you take out the false claims, you take up the drive up inflationary cost, what's left is a rational market that 49 other states have. When there is a damage, that damage is paid for. When you have medical bills, those medical bills are paid for. When there's an injury, that injury is compensated for. Every other state knows how to have a rational recourse for this. Louisiana is the one who decided to put the gravy on top, and it's feeding the few at the cost of many, and we can't afford it anymore.
It's become like the new lottery. If you get in an accident with somebody, you lawyer up and see if you can get yourself $250,000.
A fender bender can go up to a huge price tag here, without a doubt. You should see some of the dash cam footage that these trucks and all have of people coming in front, hitting the brakes, trying to get a bump so they can get
drawing the foul.
It is right, drawing the foul.
Well, and again, these phantom damages, we were told half an hour ago that Louisiana has the highest soft tissue damage
bodily
claims.
Injury claims.
Yeah.
That's right.
And how much of the expertise that swears in court or in a deposition are not medical doctors?
Tell you what, let's hold that answer. We got to take another quick break. Our last one of the hour here. Stephen Waguespack is our guest. We'll be back with Exiles TV.
See, I think.
Hi gang, Clarence Bugs here. Cox Cable is upgrading the signal from the Pelican, but to catch us, you're going to have to tune in now to a new number. Acadiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Gramercy, Lutcher. Check your guide for details.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology, which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Clarence Bud Show. Yeah, I'm back on the air. That's right, 10 a.m. until 12 noon, Monday and Wednesday, and we replay it Monday and Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. to midnight. Check us out online. You can watch it live at PelicanSportsTV.com, or better yet, why don't you just download the Pelican Broadcasting app? That way you can take it with you anywhere you go. That's right, the Clarence Bud Show. Tell you what, oh, wait, gotta run, gotta go, bye.
We're back, Exiles TV. Just a couple moments left in the program. We want to thank you sincerely for watching. Stephen Waguespack, the head of the LABI. Where do you see this thing headed? Do you think that eventually it'll be a victory for tort reform in the state, or do you think governor will... There's the question. If the governor vetoes a second time, will there be an override? That's the question.
I don't know, but we're going to... I hope we don't find out, but we just might. Because the crisis is too real. The people are demanding solution. The legislature's too dialed in to do something. There's no reason to have an override. The governor should be reasonable on this, work with the legislature, get something done. If he doesn't, I think an override is in play, yeah.
Well, we will see, and we will have you back to talk about it, I am sure.
We'll be here.
Stephen Waguespack is the president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, LABI. They have members all over this state, and they also have a really good website. You can find out more, labi.org.
Just my opinion, if the environment in the state is good for business, it's going to be good for everybody. What's good for business is generally good for everybody. That trickles down.
No doubt about that. We are still taking volunteers for our panel discussions on race relations. Now, when I say we're taking volunteers, we don't want the usual experts. Not that they don't have expertise. We want real people. So if you go to Bill at exilestv.com or Kevin at exilestv.com, tell us you'd like to volunteer, and we will schedule you into either one of our television broadcasts or one of our podcasts, which we're also going to turn into YouTube videos. So if you would like to have an open, honest discussion with reasonable people about race relations, we would love to have you. We're going to start these up probably in about 10 days. So in the meantime, join us tomorrow morning on Facebook Live for the Morning Exiles podcast. We always love hearing from you there as well. And in the meantime, be safe out there, take care of each other, and we will see you again on this television station on Thursday. Until such time, be well.
And may God bless you. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for joining us today.